Hi guys, so today we are talking with Daniel. Daniel is the founder of Accounting Academy, and we have something coming up with him, training perhaps with the accounting industry in Nepal, with the Australian taxes. Those are in the books right now, but that is sometime in the future. But let me introduce you to Daniel Vander Heyden. Hi Daniel, how are you?
Yeah, very well. How are you?
I'm very good. So, Daniel, I introduced you as the founder of Accounting Academy. Maybe we should start from what Accounting Academy is and what you have been doing with Accounting Academy, what it does, and so on.
Yeah, for sure. So maybe before we do that, it's great to have an interview with you. We chatted last week or earlier this week, and connected a little bit a while ago on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's good. It's good to finally catch up and have a chat.
Right.
I guess in terms of the Accounting Academy. So I started the Accounting Academy. I think it was last year. It was last year. So I've worked as an accountant for many years. And in my last role, I had a very big team. It was well over 20 people,
Right.
predominantly in the Philippines, but also in Australia. And I realized what I enjoy the most is training other people, right? Training
Right.
accountants and even business owners as well, to help them understand their accounts, but especially helping accountants be able to, be great accountants. So,
Right.
yeah, I thought I love this part of the job. Maybe there's a business idea around this. And so, yeah, I took the plunge in about October last year. And
Right.
not regretting it, loving it. So, yeah.
Right. It's always very good to do what you like, what you love most, and also to own your own business. It's quite, I think, rewarding. But it tends to be a lot of work in the beginning. But I think with time and getting the hang of things, and when you grow your business, it becomes quite easier after that.
Yeah. I'm still very much in the
But
growth
how's
phase.
been business? I think it's going quite good.
Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. So, I have 2 employees now, which is great to help me
Right.
out. And, always growing. And, actually we had to put it on hold for a second while I had to work on some of our training and processes. And now
Yeah.
we're starting to grow again, to get back on the sales and marketing. So, yeah,
Mm.
it's fun. I love it.
Right. And what sort of trainings do you currently do?
Yeah. So, to be honest, when I started the business, I didn't really know exactly what it was going to be. The domain
Right.
name happened to be available. So, I threw up a website and just put up a
Mm.
whole lot of different things. And so, the most popular thing, or the main thing I do at the moment, is help accountants get their tax agent licenses in Australia. So, in
Okay.
Australia, in order to practice tax itself as a service, you have to get a license. And so, I help people with that. So, that's the main part of what I do. I have been doing up until now.
Right.
And my focus very much now is on online courses. So showing people how to, complete a tax return in, say, zero tax,
Right.
all the various types of tax forms and things like that. So yeah, that's
Right.
very much where I'm heading and want to keep going down that path. But yeah, I still obviously work with people that want to get their licenses as well. So yeah, it's a nice little mix.
Right. So on your last role as well, I assume that you were training quite a lot of your teams, and you were enjoying that, and you decided that I'm enjoying training people more than working as an accountant, right? So you took the plunge then.
Yeah, so the last role I had was an interesting one. It was a startup, it was an accounting and tech startup. And so
Right.
myself, I was the second employee in Australia. And so
Mm.
what I loved about it, yes, definitely loved the training part. But also with this role, me and the country manager at the time started this firm from scratch, right?
Right.
And so we built it from no clients, no revenue up to when I left, I think it's around 1 million revenue and about 500 accounting clients and served over 1,000 clients. We had that in company corporations and everything
Right.
like that. So we built it from nothing to quite pretty large in a couple of years, right? And built the
Right.
team from nothing to, I think there was 30 of us in the Australian team by the time I left. And a lot of them were my team, obviously being accounting
Right.
and corpsec. And so I loved two aspects of it, building a business, but
Right.
also the training aspect of it. So I get the best of both worlds, having my own business. I have built it from scratch, but also building the thing that I love doing, which is the training. So yeah.
Right. So you are because the technology industry in accounting has become, it's getting quite developed, right? And accounting has become now an integral part of accounting, not like when it was in the past where technology did play a part in accounting, but it has a minimal role. But now the technology has become bread and butter of the accounting industry, if I can say that. So I think we should also go back before this as well. When you started as an accountant, what was your career journey before you started that tech-based accounting firm? How did you get started in accounting industry?
Well, if you go all the way back, I got interested in accounting at school, which seems kind of weird.
Right.
Mainly because I found it easy. It made sense to me, right? Debits and credits and creating trial balances and all that stuff made sense. So that's why I ended up pursuing it. My first job was as a financial accountant. So I worked for a ASX listed company, so the stock exchange in Australia. It was a largish public company. And so I was the financial accountant. So I did everything I did all the accounts receivable, like the daily bank reconciliations, GL reconciliations, board reports. We'd have audits. So I'd get all the audit all the web papers and whatnot ready for audits. And so I did a lot of that stuff before I eventually I went from that. I ended up traveling overseas, and when I came back, I ended up going into bookkeeping. So working with small business. So doing the bookkeeping for in practice, right? And kind of went from that into tax, and then ultimately, to the accounting academy. So had a few different jobs over the years doing various things. So a firm about 12 years ago was one of the earliest partners of Xero in Australia. And so we had a lot of Xero set up. So usually cleaning up messy accounts from, say, MYOB or QuickBooks, which is now Reckon, the old server-based softwares, and put it into Xero. And then we used to set up apps, so like Unleash software or what's the point of sale system we used to use? Anyway, lots of different apps, right, to help businesses. So it could be connecting with their e-commerce website or inventory management or point of sale or project management. So I did a lot of that tech stuff you're talking about, many years ago. So so it's been a bit, a journey and doing lots of different things along the way.
Right. You were just talking about Xero, and I can see an award from Xero as well on your background. What award is that, and is it for the Accounting Academy?
Yes, the Accounting Academy. So it's I'm a gold partner, so I got it the other week.
That's recently. You have already moved to the gold partner now.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been a partner of Xero for over 10 years. So it didn't happen overnight. It's taken me 10 years first.
Right. So no one gets the plaque just tomorrow, right? It is quite a significant.
Yeah, for sure. So, but it's nice. So it came in the mail. I was like, oh.
So you worked as a financial accountant. You also worked with SMEs through bookkeeping, financial aspects, and also tax. I think it would be unfair to ask the question, but I'll ask the question anyway. Which do you prefer, the financial accounting or the tax?
It's actually, that's a good question. I wouldn't say I enjoy one over the other, to be honest. What I do enjoy about accounting is, other than the training, obviously, is the problem solving. So there could be a tax problem, that could be, accounting bookkeeping problem, it could be a system problem. If there's something that needs to be fixed, I love going and figuring out a solution and how to make it, fix it or make it more efficient. So I guess it's more the problem solving aspect of anything accounting, rather than, one of those kind of, I guess, streams of accounting. I don't know. Does that answer your question? It's a bit generic, but
No, I love it. So you are not just an accountant, right? So you are a problem fixer. Wherever there is problems, you like to go and fix it, rather than just getting the numbers. And so what I can say is you are a systems guy, right? Wherever there is bottlenecks in the systems, you try and fix those.
Systems, processes, for sure. I love that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Because
okay, so
the people say this. Sorry, people say numbers tell the story, right? So if you get those numbers correct, it tells the story of everything, and it makes everything easier, right? So you get the basic debits and credits correct, then it'll tell you the story through the P&L, balance sheet, and tax return, right? So it all works together.
I love it, right? Okay, so let's come back to Accounting Academy, and you are talking that you help accountants get themselves licensed as a tax agent, right? So let's talk about that. What is a tax agent? Because different countries, every country has tax agent, but maybe there might be some nuances there. So in Australia, what is a tax agent? What does he do?
Yeah, so tax agent in Australia is basically someone who offers tax services to business owners, right? So
Right.
in Australia, in order to be able to charge a fee to do, say, people's tax returns or tax planning or whatever it is, anything tax related, you have to get a
Right.
license. And so in Australia, the license consists of your education requirements, so a degree or a diploma,
Mhm.
and then you've also got the experience
Right.
requirements, right? And so the degree diploma's fairly easy to get in terms of like there's a lot of people that provide that, right? In terms of the experience, most people, and myself included, you get it via a job, but not everyone
Right.
wants to get a job, right? Some people either have an existing business, so they might be a bookkeeper, and then when I go and
Right.
offer tax services, and so they don't want to get a job, they've already got a business, right? And so
Right.
they'll do something like what I do, the tax agent program, or other people just work in industry and they want to work for themselves, and so
Right.
yeah, they don't want to go down the path of getting a job in accounting or in a tax firm. So they'll come to me, and so I focus very much on that experience side of things, so that they can go and
Right.
eventually get assuming they get the required experience, or eventually get the tax agent license.
Right. So the training that you provide is recognized by the licensing agent, the ATO.
And so it's a tax practitioners board, and yeah,
Right.
effectively. So as long as they have done the required amount of experience as a tax agent, I will sign off their license. But yeah, that's effectively what I do. Yeah.
Right. So what is the time frame that might be required for someone who has the education but does not have training or experience to
Mm.
get a tax agent license?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. So if you look at the tax practitioners board website, so tax practitioners board is the body, is part of the ATO, but
Right.
they look after the licenses. They say 1 year full time, right? And so that's what they say. They actually assess it on the number of tax returns you lodge. But most people in small practice don't
Right.
don't do just bookkeeping, just tax. Sorry, they do bookkeeping. They might do some virtual CFO services. They could be doing other things, right? Those things don't count towards the tax agent license. It's just doing tax returns or tax related things, right? And so it usually takes
Right.
a minimum of 2 years for people to get their license. So it's usually about 2 years, but it can be up to 5 years or even more, but
Right.
depending on how much work they do in the tax side of things.
Right. So 2 to 5 years may be required for someone to become a tax agent. But
Yeah.
we accountants based here in Nepal, what we are looking for is also do you mind telling me the requirements for becoming a tax agent? Like there is the educational requirement and the training and experience, but other than that, what do you have to be? Do you need to be a citizen of Australia or like the US? You can become enrolled agent from anywhere in the world. Is it the same thing in Australia or is it different?
So yeah, the we call it the tax agent. Was it TASA, Tax Agent Services Act, right? Is the
Right.
governing legislation for tax agents, and that doesn't require anyone to be it doesn't require you to be an Australian citizen. So
Right.
yes, you can be a foreign citizen and get your tax agent license. So that's fine. The issue is they brought in this. I mean, it was a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago. This thing called MyGov ID, and
Right.
so it's basically an app on your phone. And so to log into your government services, you got to have the app on your phone, right? And that allows you to log in. But there's different
Right.
levels of what do you call it, access, right? And so the basic means you can access some things, but not everything. Obviously, as a tax agent, to get access to everything, you need the top level, right? And for that, currently,
Right.
you need an Australian passport. So although the legislation says you can be, in
Right.
practice, I'm not too sure how that works yet. So I know you asked me the question. I've been asked the question a few times. I'm not too sure the solution for
Right.
that. So yeah, that
Right.
that, that is the issue, that you can't get access to the required government portals to do tax returns. But
Right.
anyway, we'll figure
Right.
that out.
But you can someone even if you are not a licensed tax agent, you can work for a tax agent. But to work for a tax agent, you
Correct.
will have to have the knowledge of the taxes and all the procedures that comes with having a tax practice. So someone having a tax practice does not do everything by himself. He has his team, but he's the final agent. He's the final submission.
Correct.
So in a CPA form as well, someone
Correct.
is a CPA. If he's into public practice, he has his teammates who does the audit, but the final sign off will be done by him. So there's the similar thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like I do tax returns myself as well,
right.
And I have a team that does them. So yeah, they don't have a license. So I've got the license. Like I've obviously trained
Right.
them, I supervise their work, and then but it gets lodged under me. So yeah, that also
Right.
works.
Right. So you have a training for someone who's trying to become a tax agent. So and for someone who wants to become a trainee also can take the same training, or is there an accelerated training program where he has the basic, he or she can have the basic knowledge and the administration of how to file taxes, what are the types of taxes and the returns and whatever goes into that. How have you divided the trainings into?
Yeah, so definitely. So the training that I do, so the tax agent program, I call it, where I help people get the license, right? So most of the materials is what anyone can use, right, to understand how to do tax returns. Just I guess I take it to a next level where I actually supervise them and help them that way. But it's the same materials, right? So I've got some online courses I'm releasing. I also do I've done a lot of one-on-one stuff to start with. But yeah, developing those online courses. So they should be, most of them should be out next week. But it's the same thing, right? Like, you still have to learn how to do a tax return, right? Understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then actually do it. So it's the same materials, like, for the person that wants to get the license versus someone that wants to work with another person, right? It's you still need to understand the process. So yeah, and I have that as an online course. So you can sign up on the website or and work through it. So
all right. So currently, you have been providing training for someone based in Australia, because at the end of the day, if they are trying to get license, then they must be in Australia or is Australian citizen with a passport. But in your last role, you did say that you had some team members in Australia and others outside of Australia. And how was the work divided, and why did you decide to have team members outside of Australia?
Yeah, so because the firm that I worked for started in Singapore, and so that was the way they've always done it, right? So they've always had a team in the Philippines, and so obviously we replicated that model as much as possible, but to suit Australia. So it was part of the model, but also outsourcing has become bigger and bigger in Australia. Like a lot of accountants resisted it for years, but especially since COVID, more firms have done it. And also, I know we talked about this in our call the other day, but the accounting shortage, right? So with the shortage of accountants, you've got to find staff to do the work somewhere. And so a lot more people are outsourcing and people are more comfortable with it in Australia now. So yeah, it's kind of the norm. In addition to, in this firm in particular, that was part of their strategy anyway. So
right. So as you also know, we are also based in Nepal, and are also a firm which is based in Nepal, which does accounting and tax related works for Nepal. But also what we are trying to do is that we are also trying to bridge that gap between the accounting shortage in Australia and other countries, and also the accountants looking for opportunities in Nepal. What has been the trend so far is there have been some that are already giving those services. We are also giving those services, but in the accounting industry in Nepal, what's been the trend so far is that people like to immigrate to those countries, right? So rather than be here in Nepal and work for those countries, they tend to go outside, because Nepal is a small country and it has not been so recognized that people, are comfortable sending business. Though the IT industry is very big in Nepal, the outsourcing is not, it's not too young. I think $1 billion in the last year the IT industry did in Nepal, and most of the work that's being sent to India also comes to Nepal for the IT industry. The accounting industry, there's been some small outsourcing work that's going on in personal basis. Someone has an office in Australia and they set up their back office here in Nepal. But the trend of accountants, because accounting is thought of, and in Nepal the accounting industry has no shortage. People like to get into accounting. They want to get their chartered accountancy license or ACCA license. So we have seen there's no shortage here, but after finishing, they want to get out, right? They want to get global exposure. So what we are trying to do is bridge those gaps with forms, accounting forms or tax forms in Australia and other countries who are facing shortage, but also accountants here in Nepal who are fully qualified but looking for opportunities and trying to move out. Rather than moving out, maybe we can get to the middle ground where people can still be in Nepal with their families, enjoying their life, and the accounting industry in Australia can also get their work done, right? Cost savings for the accounting firms, but also an increase in salaries from the base salaries in the market salaries to accountants in Nepal. So there's a win-win there, and we are trying to bridge those gaps. And so we are also trying to skill up people, because accounting is a general language. Whatever accounting is done here is also done in Australia, but some practices might be different, and we're trying to bridge those gaps. In that effort, now we are also connected with you as well, and we are looking, maybe we can bridge those gaps and get as many people who are interested in working for Australian tax agents, CPA firms, get their skills up, and maybe we could, help there. So that's what we are trying to do. And also because now Australia has had this experience of working with accountants outside of Australia, but not so much with Nepalese, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Philippines is quite big to outsource, and India in Australia. Nepal, it's like I say, it's really new.
Right.
And our mutual contact does the same out of Hong Kong.
Right.
There's a few people starting to do it from Nepal to Australia,
Right.
but it's fairly new. Like Philippines and India are definitely the biggest ones. But,
Right. But there are accountants of Nepali origin that work in accounting firms there. They do also have
sorry, I
accounting firms
misunderstood
of
your
their
question.
own.
Yes. Yeah, I've worked with a few of your fellow country people. Yes.
Right.
So one of them was actually the firm I was telling you about, where I started using Xero.
Right.
So Shushma, so we're still good friends. We're still in contact. But so she came over to specifically do accounting in Australia. So I think she finished her degree here, or master's degree. And she works for a large payroll software company in Australia.
Right.
It's not so much the accounting. I can't remember exactly what she does now. I know she's doing implementation at some stage, but I think she might head up the payroll processing team. She loves payroll. She's great at payroll. And I've worked with a few others, but they've all come over here to be accountants. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So that is what we are trying to bridge the gap. You do not have to go to Australia and become an accountant there and do the work. You could be here in Nepal and do the same work in Nepal, right? So that would always be a win-win for everybody. You'll be with your family here. You'll have a happy life with your family, but also you'll have global exposure. So that's what we're trying to do, and maybe we'll be successful. And also through this podcast, also we have not finalized what the modality of the training would be, but we are Daniel and I are in talks about how we can bridge those gaps, and back with a schedule and also a training program for people who might
sure.
be interested in Nepal and interested to get skilled in Australian taxes and bookkeeping and accounting.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just going to mention one thing just about the skill
Yep.
shortages. I don't know about overseas, but Australia, it's
Mm-hmm.
not so much the entry level stuff. I think there's still, numbers are dropping, but it's more
Right.
experience, right? It's
Right.
more the people with experience. And again, that's
Mm-hmm.
why another thing I'm passionate about. Like, I think we should be training people
Right.
wherever they are to actually understand it. So that's what I love too. So obviously
Right.
this kind of program, be it with your team or anyone else, it's to help them gain that experience and knowledge so that one, we can get the job, but two, you
Right.
do a really good job for your clients or your boss or whoever it is, right? So yeah.
Right, sure. Right. So what are your plans, current plans? So as you said, you have now employed, you have just onboarded 2 employees, and what are your
I've got lots of plans. Very much around the training and knowledge side of things. So like I say, I've got probably the main. There's a lot of courses I want to do, but I've probably got the main 4 done. We're just editing them at the moment. One of them is pretty much done. The other 3 are getting edited currently.
Right.
But I need to keep expanding. So these are like basic, like how you do a tax return, setting up a client, how do you do the work papers, how you do the tax return.
Right.
But I haven't done taxes overseas, so I've got nothing to compare it with. But there's a lot on the tax forms in Australia. So
Right.
the next goal, once I get these ones released, is to just keep chipping away at all the various, parts of a form. So, for example, a company tax return. Sometimes, like if the director borrows money from the company, we've got to do what's called a Division 7A loan.
All right.
So I'll dive into that. And this is how you do it, and this is what it means, and this is why you have to do it, and this is how you complete it on the tax return. So, you know what I mean? So I want to dive down deep into the various areas of tax returns.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my goal for the rest of the year.
Right.
Is to do a lot more of that. So just building out more courses. And I've also got a knowledge base. I've been building out a knowledge base. So I've got to keep building that out. So you have videos, and then you've also got words, I guess, explanations and words and links to like the legislation and whatnot. So yeah, it's very much not just online courses. Like I want to have as many materials as possible available as possible to
Right.
accountants and people that want to learn Australian tax is my goal. So it's basically taking most of the things out of my head and also using those problem solving skills for there's this tax issue we need to teach people how to do and fix and do a training course and write knowledge base articles on it. So yeah, that's my plan for definitely for the rest of the year and into next year as well.
Right. So are you also looking into AI to, optimize your knowledge base?
So I use ChatGPT, yes, but I love ChatGPT for research, but it doesn't. You can't you can't rely on it just yet,
Right.
Because it gets things wrong all the time, right? So, but it's a great research tool. So I use it for my initial research. So I got the app on my phone. So I like to walk and talk, so I get my exercise in while I'm talking to ChatGPT and get it to help me with my research.
Right.
And then I'll dig in from there. So then I'll use some of my knowledge and I'll do some more research or from doing tax returns. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't had to do this before. Okay, I need to write an article on this or whatever, because Australian tax is so big. No one knows everything. And some things you come across like, once every, say, 5 years, some things you come across once, right? So there's obviously things you do very regularly, but there's also stuff that you don't do as much and you got to go and do the research.
Right.
And so that's when we talk about the problem solving with the tax, especially. I love that. So you're like, I know I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I know there's a problem here. I might not exactly know what it is, but I know how to research it. And ChatGPT is the first place to do the research, and then I'll go and look at the ATO, the legislation, look at what other people say, and then I create a course or a knowledge-based article on it. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, very nice. So okay, I think we have come to the end of the podcast, and before we go, where can we find Daniel, if someone wants to connect with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to my LinkedIn. So there's not many Daniel Vander Heydens in the world. So I think I'm the only one in Australia. So just search for Daniel Vander Heyden. I think my profile is linkedin.com/in/Daniel Vander Heyden, just my name. Or the Accounting Academy website. So www.theaccountingacademy.com.au. You've got my details, so people can reach out to you as well. Reach out, any of those channels.
Right. Thank you. It was very, very great, chatting with you. We'll see you again.
Okay. Thanks, Sushil.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.